Hi everyone, this is Cyrus for iPhones.com and iPhoneAppsFun.com. This is the last of our videos as far as comparing these engines. And as I mentioned, Shredder and Hiarcs had a very similar, very close match, similar level of skill or strength. And then Chess Pro was behind them, and then T-Chess Pro was behind those. And Stockfish obviously is the best chess engines. You have two ways to play it. You can get the regular Stockfish or the Smallfish. And I put it against all these different engines, and it wasn't pretty against Hiarcs or Shredder. It won 5-1 against Shredder, and I think it lost one game against Hiarcs, and I still don't know how it lost it. But if I go here, let's just game. So I put regular Stockfish and a Smallfish against Hiarcs, and if you play the game, let me just, there we go. If I do analysis here, obviously you have a queen versus a rook and a bit and a knight, and in some cases you can actually draw this, but usually it really depends, and this is not one of those, obviously, because you're gonna have two of them here. So, and that's pretty much over when you have a queen versus a rook, and there are no major pawns for black to count on, so it's really not a position that could defend. Again, this was another one, and the trend that you get when you play these engines against each other is very important usually. Sometimes you have engines that are so different, so apart as far as their strength go, that you can see one of them actually analyzing the position saying that it's a draw, but the other one is saying 5 pawns up, and then you realize that, wow, there are just major differences. These two are actually very close as far as doing analysis, but the problem is that Hiarcs couldn't actually maintain any advantage, and usually just slowly giving away space and giving away time, and this ended here with a checkmate, obviously, but it was always going to be a loss when you were down so many pawns and also a piece that was over. The game that Hiarcs actually won, let's just go. So these were against the old Stockfish, and I actually got a feeling from the patterns that was very much stronger than Smallfish, but then they're both on about the same engine, so that's what was puzzling. And the reason I sort of thought that the other one was stronger was because of the first game that Hiarcs actually won against the Smallfish, which is based on a Stockfish 5. And this was a puzzling one because, as you can see here, Stockfish, for some reason, after 10 or 20 moves, just gave away a rook for a bishop and for a knight, actually. So it's an exchange and with no advantage. And I still thought that it could end up drawing the game after a while, but the game got complicated, and Hiarcs actually played very well and actually won the game in the end. But if you do a graph here, so it was a very strange way to lose the game, and I thought that maybe, and I couldn't actually replicate this in other games that they played. Stockfish was very much ruthless and actually won the games, each of them. And this is actually a Stockfish 5 and it's not a Stockfish 4, so that's a typo. But if you do analysis, this is right now drawish position. Well, not actually drawish, but that's what they're saying. But then quickly it turns around, and as you can see, pressure gets bigger and larger on this side of the board. And now this position is very, very difficult to actually save. And why? It actually tells you why, because you're already down. You have those two pawns. You have your other side is completely obliterated. You have your king side actually under threat from these two rooks, and you obviously have to give up a rook for that. So you have three pieces, but it has two bishops and a rook against. So I mean, it's there's so many reasons obviously that black has so much to play for, whereas white is sort of cramped and not a whole lot, not doing a whole lot as far as posting or posing threats to against the black king. And the game was over here. Obviously, some people might play it around and actually manage to get a draw or win. It really depends. Not everyone can actually play at this level. These engines are very, very strong. They're not something that you can actually play and beat on a regular basis unless you're actually a professional and you know what you're doing and you can actually get them out of their game. Let's try this one, the last one, just to show you guys. As you can see, it gives you actually percentages of the moves that you may want to try. I actually prefer e4 myself, but a lot of professionals now actually use d4 and nf3 because of the fact that e4 you can actually get to the Berlin defense, and there are a lot of other openings that are actually problematic with white as far as getting a clear advantage. So, but anyway, if you go and actually play this, so if you do an analysis of this right here, you have a piece up, you have a couple of pawns, and white really doesn't have a whole lot going for it as far as being able to maybe do a perpetual check or get somehow get some advantage back. And this bishop right there, this knight right there, the white knight is actually not really doing a whole lot here. It's not going to be able to do a whole lot of protecting, and it's just a matter of time before the position falls apart. So if you do, as you can see the analysis. So, and what the black is going to do is kind of push the edge pawn and move the rook. So many things that can happen. But the point is, got one win, and I think actually with Hiarcs we actually played 10 games. So I think it was one win, a draw, and then the rest of them Stockfish won pretty easily. And one win that Hiarcs got was very puzzling because of the exchange that I mentioned, and it didn't really happen in other games. So I'm not sure how and why Stockfish actually gave that exchange. Maybe that was a blunder or some error somewhere, but it's clear after all these 5 tests that Stockfish is pretty much the strongest engine available on iPad, at least the one that we tested. It really kicked everyone's butt here, especially Hiarcs and also Shredder, and those are actually strong engines. So, and then you saw Shredder and Hiarcs actually the ones that we showed you, the very close matches, and I think it was 3.5 to 2.5 to score with 6 games. We could have done more, but it just takes a lot of time to actually play these engines against each other. And then the rest, obviously, it wasn't really a match between, because these two are clearly the strongest after Stockfish, and the rest were sort of after that. So, but all these engines are very strong. You can actually learn a lot by playing against them and actually studying what they suggest. But if you want a free application that really can kick your butt and also teach you something, I recommend Stockfish and Smallfish. Hope you enjoyed this. For more information, please go to iPhones.com and iPhoneAppsFinder.com. Thanks again for watching, guys.